they do not remain in poverty.
Question number 3, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou katoa e te whare. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, when he said, quote, "We don't want to see any New Zealand child suffer, children don't get to make choices, they're often the victim of circumstance," does he mean he will take tangible steps to ensure children don't suffer because of circumstances beyond their control?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, we are taking tangible steps. If the member read the white paper on vulnerable children, for example, she would see that we are introducing, amongst other things, child abuse prevention orders, new teams made up of local education, health and social sector professionals to respond to the needs of vulnerable children, a new system to draw together information from government agencies and frontline professionals about vulnerable children and provide early alerts, and a new Child Protect line to provide a single point of contact for all New Zealanders to report any concerns they have about children or young people. Together with a number of other initiatives, this represents the most significant advancement in child protection in many, many years.
Metiria Turei.
Supplementary question. How does his government's welfare sanctions regime, which deliberately takes money from the poorest children because of their parents' inability to fulfil his social obligations, fit with his desire to ensure that children don't suffer because of the choices of others?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, firstly, this member will be aware of the matters before the Select Committee so people can put forward their ideas, but whenever sanctions are applied, and there are examples where sanctions can be applied, the Ministry of Social Development or the frontline work and income people go through many, many steps before they get there, but there are, in the end, very good reasons why a sanction would be applied. They're also maintained at 50% where there are other dependents, but in the end, the idea of the sanctions is to see corrective behaviour. More often than not, we use carrots, occasionally we're required to use a stick.
Does he think that the 36,000 children admitted to hospital in the past year for poverty-related medical conditions got there because of choices that they made? And if not, will he now commit to extending free doctor visits to all children?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, we're not in a position to extend free doctors' visits to all children, but we have been in a position to extend free doctors' visits to under sixes. And I think if you look at the financial conditions that this government has faced, that's been an important step. Secondly, I'm not sure that it would be in the best interests of the very children she's talking about that we extend that on a universal basis, because children coming from very well-to-do homes actually can afford to have their parents pay, and let's target and focus more on those that are in need.
Metiria Turei.
Has the Prime Minister talked to GPs about his view that parents of children over 6 who can't afford to take their kids to the doctor should simply hope that the doctor won't make them pay? And if so, what did the GPs say?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I can't recall a specific conversation on that, so I wouldn't want to offer a view.
Metiria Turei.
Point of order, sir.
Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a transcript of John Key's radio interview with Marcus Lush.
The source of this is?
The source of this document is from my own office, a transcript of the interview that was given.
A broadcast interview?
A broadcast interview.
No, we don't.
Showing the Prime Minister saying that doctors wouldn't be expected to pay.
Order. Members should know better than to use that process to try and enhance their statement, because we don't table transcripts of
Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, we've had rulings in the past about generally available transcripts of radio interviews, but where there are radio interviews that are not now available to members.
Order. It's a point of order. It's a point of order and it should be interjected.
Sir, my understanding is that that is not available for rebroadcast.
Order.
And this is available, sir, not otherwise available, then it has been the practice to at least put it to the House.
Order. I should have... Order. This is a point of order. Order. both sides should come to order. I apologise to the member. I should have checked when the interview took place. If it took place a year or two ago, then no problem. If it's a very recent interview, though, then it's available. Such transcripts are readily available. I'll just check with the member.
Point of order,
Metiria
sir.
Turei.
The interview took place yesterday, but, sir, there is no... But, point of order, sir, there is no transcript of this interview and available to members.
Well, order
so
to deal with the problem, I'll seek the leave of the House, and that will settle the matter. Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Well, Mr. Speaker, first of all, this whole ruling should change when the Prime Minister puts the issue in contention. He claims that he can't remember what he said yesterday. And the second thing he said was that they brought in free measures on the sixes.
The member is now using the point of order process to try and score a political point. Order. The House will stop. And he will not do that. Sure, we could do that in the old days, but not anymore. The easiest way to settle this is to seek the leave of the House, and I'll do that. Leave is sought for that transcript to be tabled. Is there any objection? There is objection. Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Metiria Turei, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the Prime Minister doesn't want to see children suffer, why has he immediately ruled out a universal child payment for the under-5s, despite the Children's Commissioner's group of experts recommending that it would make life better for 250,000 New Zealand children and be a genuine investment in the prosperity of our country?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, because I think in difficult economic times it's far better to channel those resources to those in need.
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So if the Prime Minister's priority is to target the poorest children, will he immediately approve additional financial support for the 170,000 children whose parents are beneficiaries, or failing that, pass on the child support payments to those families, or failing that, at least try to protect the jobs for their parents, 78,000 of whom no longer have work under his watch?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, well, the government is channeling resources, significant resources, to those families, and the government is working in difficult economic conditions to try and preserve New Zealanders' jobs.
I'm lost. Supplementary question.
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that kids have no choice but he does, what dollar value would he put on the lost opportunities of a generation of Kiwi kids who are trapped in poverty and who may not grow up to be the doctors and lawyers and artists and gardeners and even the Prime Ministers of the future, because his choice is to help out wealthy adults at children's expense?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, firstly, I'd utterly refute the last point. Secondly, it's a well-known statement of fact. I actually came from a very economically poor household, and it didn't stop me becoming Prime Minister. What made me Prime Minister was that my mother, who was a solo mother, had the foresight to ensure that I got a decent education. This government is doing more about that than these people over there have done. And when they had $20 billion over 3 years in...
Order. The question was asked by the Green Party, not by the Labour Party. Question number 4, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, my